To be home. My people. I spend a lot of time out on the road. I spend a lot of time talking to other groups. In here, I just get to let it all hang out. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to pretend to be something else and kind of hide little different parts of myself. With you all, I'm just like, bleh. Is that good? Is that all right? Like, I'm not going to, shine it. No. So, one of the things that I love about doing the sermons here is that I get to do some interaction with you. It always feels weird to me if I'm talking to a group and it feels like a lecture, a one-way expression. And I really like if you talk with me and call out, and the call and response, we build a little energy here. Is that okay? Yeah? I couldn't quite hear you. Is that okay? Yeah. Good. Because there's a lot of energy inside of me, and I want it to be met by the energy inside of you. Good? Yeah. All right. So I got the text from Reverend Deborah Johnson. This is how we communicate these days. We text. I got the text from Reverend Deborah Johnson, and she said, "Are you available to come here and do the sermon?" And it was a couple of days after I got the results from the election through my television into my home. And I immediately said, yes, I'm available. I'm always available. If I'm here, yes, I'm always available. For Inner Light, I had no idea what I was talking about, but I'm a yes. And so what's the theme for the month? The theme is giving thanks. I'm not there yet. But I knew I was going to get there. You know what I mean? Like, there's some emotions that we have to feel here first. There's something that we have to go through before we can get to Thanksgiving, yes? Yeah. So we had a lot of emotions in my house for a couple of days. And in the text conversation, the ongoing text conversation with Reverend Deborah, one of the things that we talked about was that we want to create a safe space here regardless of who you back in the political arena. You know what I'm saying? That there's got to be a safe space, whether you support Hillary or Trump or whoever, that this is a place where we create safety for people to have their own expression. And I'm lined up with that. Are you lined up with that? You good with that one? Great. Because otherwise, to me, what are we doing all this work for? Like, what's the point? If there's just more divisiveness, if there's just more us versus them, really, what's the point of all this inner spiritual work? Doesn't make any sense to me. So although I have my own opinions, and I'll be voicing some of those today, and I have my own expression that I want to bring out to the world, I want more connection. And if you are on the fringes, if you're supporting Trump, I applaud you showing up here. Because we are like a bubble inside of a bubble inside of a bubble. You know what I'm saying? Like, who was surprised with the results? I was totally surprised with the results because we're in a bubble inside of a bubble inside of a bubble. So if you are a Trump supporter, I applaud you showing up here, and I believe we need more dialogue with you. We need more open conversation. We need to find the pieces inside of you that we judge that are inside of us so that we can accept those. In us so that we can accept those in you. Which is the whole point of shadow work. Let me say that again. I want to accept the parts of me that I'm projecting onto you and judging so I can accept them here and I can accept them in you. That's the route that we take into this oneness. That's how we get there. Because if it's I got mine and you got yours and I'm going to go my way and you're going to go your way and we're going to take our marbles and just play with the people who look like us and feel like us and talk like us, it's going to be a very separated world. We can't do that anymore. We're way too connected. We're way too integrated. We're way too much in each other's lives, economically, spiritually, emotionally. It's this. We haven't caught up with the times yet. Our psyche, our soul, our spirit hasn't caught up with how connected we are as a planet. You feel me? So I work with a lot of executives and CEOs, people who manage tons of money. Some of my clients invest $3 billion. That's with a B. That's a lot of money, yeah? As we do their spiritual and their emotional work, the places that they invest that money changes. Many of my clients have the rare charter of investing that kind of money in things that support the environment, to keep this place clean and green, and to support social causes that impact entire countries and continents. The consciousness that we cultivate here is moving out into a planet that is open and ready to receive what we've got. So I come to you from the front lines. Like I'm in there mixing it up with them. In my coaching-client relationship, at the very beginning and the very end of every coaching call, you know what I do? I pray with them. I don't call it that at the beginning. We might not do it for the first couple sessions. We could call it other things. But at the end, after the first month or two, we're praying. They're dropping in. And they're like, yeah, bring it, Ben. Whatever that thing is that you do some of that. And we do shadow work. I mean, they're embracing parts of themselves that they didn't even know existed before. They are open and they are receptive. What we do here is moving out into a planet that is open. So as we talk about shadow work today, I'm going to do the micro and we're going to do the macro. All right? So the micro is like what we're going to do individually. Your work, your work, your work, my work, your work, your work. Micro. The macro is what are we going to do as a collective? What's happening on this planet as a collective? What is the shadow work that needs to be done there? With me? Okay. So I was talking to a friend of mine, Christian. Christian, are you here? He's sometimes over with he's there. Hey, thank you. I was talking with my friend Christian about what I was going to be doing the sermon on today, and he said, Ben, you got to have to really lay out this shadow work thing for me. Give me a lot of examples and break it down and make it obvious. So this one's for you, Christian. Get into the shadow. Raise your hand if you're a little confused about how shadow works and what the integration looks like and all that stuff. If you got about half of us. Raise your hand if you know you have a shadow. About 90% of us. Yeah. So the shadow is the part of self that we have rejected. It's the part of you that you said, I don't like that part of me. It's the part that you've seen or that other people have seen in you, and you got the message from an authority figure or you got the message from yourself that said that part is bad. That part is wrong. So it might be the part of you that's shy. It might be the part of you that's greedy, that wants more than the other people. It might be the part that's angry. For some of us, it's the part that feels dumb. For some of us, it's the part that feels too smart. It's a very unique, individual thing. You with me here? That we have exiled. That we've said, oh my God, the public doesn't like that. My friends don't like that. Maybe I don't like that. So I'm not going to be that anymore. Shy part, you're over there. Aggressive part, you're not part of me anymore. I'm not showing you. Doesn't leave, does it? No. That part that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. La, 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 I don't hear you. You're not here. It doesn't leave. It just kind of metastasizes and grows horns and warts. Gets kind of ugly and aggressive. And comes out when you're at the edge of success. And takes you down. When you're at the edge of taking your relationship to another level of love and connection, that shadow comes out. It makes you shut down, start an argument, do something stupid, say something you go, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that, but I'm going to stand because I said it. Shadow. When you're about to get the big raise, or you're about to get the new contract, and you're about to do something in your financial, your business world that's taking you to the next level, shadow comes out. And you miss a meeting, you say something you shouldn't have said, you make a mistake, you do something to sabotage your success. You feel me here? It's shadow expressing in a contorted, twisted way that will take you down. Micro. In the macro, same thing, only bigger. So in this country of ours, there's been a push, a big push for more. Greed run rampant. Material wealth run rampant. I got mine run rampant. So if that's expressing on a large scale, what do you think the shadow is going to be? Yeah, not enough, and anger about that. Something's been taken from me and I'm pissed. They all got theirs. I got left behind, and I'm not at peace with that. It's the part that wants and is frustrated because it doesn't get what it wants. Now combine with that a movement of the feminine into the forefront. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. A movement of the feminine into the forefront. Yeah. It was like 90% women at Interlight. A movement of the feminine, and I don't just mean women, I mean the feminine qualities. You know what I'm saying here? The more connected place, the more revealed place, the more like integrated place. Moving into the forefront and the backlash against that. Every movement creates a shadow. Socially, every movement creates a shadow. So the backlash against that was played out on a national scale. Inside of this election, we got to see the shadow play out. A movement of acceptance is also on the rise. What we call the green meme in developmental psychology, an acceptance of everything. We're all accepted, we're all one. The backlash against this, the shadow, boy, turn me down a little bit because I'm just going to get louder. The shadow of this movement into acceptance is the part that feels uncomfortable with all these new people who don't look like I do or say the things I say or have the same religion I have. The part that feels unsafe with the unknown. It's down there. There's a part of us that just feels safer when we're around people who look like us and talk like us and be like us. Well, that part can't come out. It's not acceptable when we're all supposed to be as one, when we're supposed to be totally accepted. So it has become shadow. And it acts out with a contorted twist. It acts out in really unfortunate ways that create divisiveness. Because until you own your shadow owns you. Say it again, Ben. Before you own your shadow owns you. It's got you. And it throws you here and it throws you there and it makes you reactive. It gets you upset. Yeah, huh? It's got you. Until you own it, until you embody it, until you befriend it, until you accept it, until you love it up, it gets to run you. Sorry. I wish it didn't work this way. Really, this is like unfortunate. Bad news. Largely because we can't see our own shadow. I mean, that's the hardest part of the whole game, is that all your friends are looking at you going, you got a shadow. And here it is, I'll tell you all about it. And you're like, what are you talking about? Shadow, what? I'm angry, huh? What? So do you want to know how to determine what your shadow is? One of the best ways? Yeah. You're not going to like to hear this. And I'm building it up for you, but you're going to be like, So what you want to do is start thinking about your favorite judgments of others. Not the ones that you have once or twice in your life. The ones that you go, really, again? You're like that? And then a couple weeks or days later, you encounter another person, and oh, you're like that? Your favorite systemic judgments. That's your shadow projected onto the world, smiling back at you. Whatever that systemic judgment is, you wouldn't know it so well to hate it in them if it wasn't so buried inside of you and disowned. It'd just be like nothing. Yeah, you spot it, you got it, exactly. And with the shadow, it's really hard because it becomes kind of murky inside of all there. It's confusing and disorienting sometimes. When you start to actually get it, like, oh, that's me out there, is very confusing. When you actually catch on to how this works, your whole world kind of goes whoop, for a couple minutes, days, or months. It's a little like, oh boy, I've entered the twilight zone of shadow. So I've had my own dance with shadow work, and it happened here at Light Ministries. I spent a lot of time a number of years ago teaching, doing in-depth seminars. Groups would be with me for months, sometimes for a year. Raise your hand if you're in any of our programs here. Deep work, yeah? Like you can feel the depth of transformation and change inside of these groups. But the beginning was kind of horrendous for me as a facilitator. Because the shadow that I projected out onto everybody was that you're judging me. My judge got projected out, and so I could see it in your eyes. I just knew you were looking at me going, oh, there's that white dude. That straight white guy who thinks he knows everything about everything. I really do. Shadow. So those projections came out into the audience, and I could just feel them pummeling me. And the worst part was, at the end of the seminars and the end of the programs, I had to actually go out and be with the people because people wanted to talk with me. And I'm like, you're judging me. I can't believe we need to talk. Can't we just like transform and shift, and I'll teach and you learn and become a new person, and then I'll run away and hide? Which was really my preference at the beginning of this work. I did not want to be with the people. really difficult. One time, Reverend Deborah, I was telling the Reverend Deborah about this, and she was like, I feel you, man. I have trouble with the people. But she said to me, she goes, Ben, you keep on talking about wanting community around you that is supportive. You know what the root of community is? To commune. To be with the people. All right. I'll do my shadow work. All right, I will own it. So there is a part of me that is judging. It's a part of me that is judging. What is that part that's judging? Oh, I'm judging this person for this. I'm judging that person for being too spiritual and woo-woo. I'm judging this person for not being spiritual enough. I can make up all kind of judgments. Holy cow, I'm a judging machine. It's really where I kind of ended up with this. Like, it's happening all the time, unconsciously. I don't realize it, but that's what's going on. Ugh. That's another part. When you know you're onto your shadow, when you're kind of ashamed at what you're discovering about yourself. When you're like, oh, God, that's true. Can we go do something else now, please? This process is a little uncomfortable. My self-image is getting disrupted. So I'm discovering this about myself, and I'm like, all right, I have a judger. We've got to integrate the judger. I've got to actually own this part of me. Horrible, but I'm going to do it. I'm in. Raise your hand if you've ever been into something, even though you know it's going to be hard. When you're like, yeah. So you know. There's times, because we're on the spiritual path, or because we want something greater than ourselves, we're in even when it's hard. Even when we don't like it. You've got to be willing. There's got to be a part of ourselves that says, yes, I'm going to keep on putting one foot in front of the other, walking through this even though I know it is a fire. Even though I know I'm going to be seeing parts of myself that are totally disruptive. So I had the amazing experience of integrating a number of those parts, and instead of having 1,000 people judging me, all of a sudden, your hearts started to warm up. And I could see, like, appreciation and love and connection reflected in your eyes. Can you see how this is a totally different world? That my shadow work allowed me to experience an entirely different world. Same for you. Same for you. The potential to integrate your shadow and see an entirely new world is right here. And there were times in those seminars when I was talking about something that was near and dear to me, and I could feel my heart open, and instead of shutting, I just let it happen. And I got held by this community. Huge. Changed my life forever. Could not go back. Can you feel how that would change your life? Have something heals inside of you and you're held by a group? Something is different. So thank you for that opportunity, Inner Light. So the question then becomes, how do we do this? How do we integrate on the micro and on the macro? How do we discover and integrate our shadow on the micro and on the macro? Would you like to learn a little about that? Yeah, great. And we can do a little bit right now. We can kind of dip our toe in because I don't want you all to get too spun out here. We're not going to go into the deep dive, but we can dip our toe in. We can start the process of integration. That happens here on the micro level and that transports out into the macro. Because each time one of you does a little bit of this work, you're contributing to a massive change in consciousness. And we have got to do our own individual, unique part. We've got to contribute something to that massive change in consciousness. Are you with me? Yes. Raise your hand if you're open to doing your part. Because this is a big shift that needs to happen here. And it's communities like this, it's change agents like you that make that shift possible. It's got to happen here. Our people. So how do we do it? We step into this part, we embody it, and we speak as it. First and foremost, we step into the shadow, we embody this shadow part of self, and we speak as it. I'm feeling into what is the shadow part that wants to start to heal here. Part of our unique expression, part of the whole, and it's been disowned. You know what I mean when I say disowned? Like this is the part that we've pushed into shadow as a community, as a spiritual community, as a space and place in consciousness. Yeah. So the part that I'd like us to investigate a little is that part that actually does want to be with people who look and feel and say things exactly like you do. Because that part's not very accepted. It's not okay to be that. But that shadow is out there in a massive way on this planet. You with me? Yeah. So the way we're going to do this is you're just going to embody it for a second, and then you're going to whisper a little bit about who you are, what you like, to the person next to you. You don't have to say it boldly yet, right? You just whisper about it. So we're going to do this together. You in for this? Yeah. All right. So I couldn't hear you. Are you in for this? Yeah. So we're going to embody this part just a tad, and then we're going to whisper to our friend, the person next to us. And so the way that we're going to step into this is we just claim it. So you're going to say, after I say it, not with me, you're going to say, I'm the part that wants it all the same, that wants everybody to be like me. Let's do it that. I'm the part that wants everybody to be like me. With me? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're that part. You want everybody to be like you. To think like you, to dress like you, to have the same religion you have, to have the same thoughts you have. You want everybody to be like you. Can you feel that? Because that makes you safe, right? Yeah. Okay, so now just think about it. Do you have any judgments of other people who aren't like you? And just whisper those to your buddy. Just whisper them. What are the judgment you have of the people who are not like you? Just whisper those to your friend. Just tell that person next to you. Oh God, that's me, that's true. Oh. Sorry, this is actually true. I have this part. All right, come on back. Don't get too into it now. Come on back. It can be a little addicting. All right, so what do you notice? What comes up? What happens when you start to do this? Feels a little awkward. But also righteous. And also righteous. Right? There's a righteousness in here, this part. Yeah. Doesn't it feel like you know? Yeah. Like you know. You're not really supposed to know, but you know. Right? Anything else? What comes up when you embody this part and whisper about it? What happens?
I have a question. Isn't the shadow the same as the ego?
I don't want to get into that debate right now. But let's say this. The shadow, like the higher aspects of yourself, all divine. Every single part, pure spirit expressing. There's something else that you were saying. Lots of feelings, yeah. What's the feeling that comes up?
Anger.
Yeah. Resistance, yes. Yeah, fear. Frustration, yeah. And shame, yeah. Yeah, and self-disgust. Because it's been disowned. Because you, as this part, have been disowned, a lot of emotion comes up when you first start to get felt and owned. Because you've been disowned, because you're angry that you haven't got to voice, because you're pissed off that you've been disowned, that the self has exiled you, or authority figures have exiled you. It ain't okay to be you. But you're trying to help the self out, right? You're trying to make the self feel safe. I mean, that's your job, isn't it? To help the self feel safe. So check this out. Every single part, every aspect of you that is shadow has a gift to contribute to the self. Not a little gift, a big gift. Every aspect of your disowned self has a huge gift to contribute to the self. In this case, we want to create safety. We want to create a place where I can feel free to be myself, yeah? Because parts are disowned, their expression is contorted, twisted. They show up in a way that does not serve you, but it's not that part's fault. It's the self's fault. You're just doing your job, right? Creating safety. In a world that, let's face it, there's a lot of dangers and hazards out there. Those people that don't look like you or talk like you, there's a higher chance that there's something that could happen. So I create safety, which is my primary function. With me? So all these parts need to get expressed, loved up, accepted. Raise your hand if you're willing to do your inner work. If you're willing to accept those parts of you. Good, because there's a lot of integration that needs to happen on this planet. There's a lot of shadow work that needs to happen on the planet, on the micro level and on the macro level. So I'd like to get you back into yourselves now for a minute. So the way that we do that is you say, I am myself. Can you say that again?
I am myself.
Welcome back. Welcome back. That journey that you have just taken is a journey that I want to encourage you to take over and over and over, to take a look at the shadow parts of you, the shadow parts of the society, and to say, I am those things that I have judged. To look at what's out there, where your habitual judgments are. And they'll start to pop for you. Now that you've been here and you've got this in your consciousness, you're going to start to see it everywhere you go. I'll be like, oh, I judged you as too big. I judged you as too greedy. I judged you as not spiritual enough. Over and over and over. Hello. You've got to orient to it in that new way. So if you're up for doing your own internal work, say yes.
Yes.
If you are up to solving something that happens on the micro level and doing the work on the micro, something that happens on the macro level, and doing that work for you in the micro level, say yes. If you're willing to look at your systemic judgments and stop believing them, say yes. If you're willing to go inside and doing the heart work so that you can come back into contact with that aspect of you that is divine so you feel more whole, say yes.
Yes.
Good. Because when we don't do our shadow work, we are at odds with ourself. This is what's happening inside of you. The part that wants to love, to integrate, to be with the people, comes in direct contact with the part that's like, no, I want to be me. I've got anger. I've got frustration. These parts are at odds. We're split. And this is a time for wholeness. This is a time to get into alignment. For us, for them, for the nation, for the world. We need that internal alignment so your expression is clear. Guess what happens when your expression is clear? The world says yes to you. Because when you're like this, and you're trying to get something done, whether it's raise a child, change an organization, market or sell your services, when you're like this, the world goes, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can fully support and get behind you. But when you line up on the inside, when that shadow is integrated, the world's like, you want that? I want you to have that. I will back you with my time, my energy, my money. Let's make something happen. That expression is pure. Would you like more pure expression in your life? Yes. Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you for going through the journey with me. Thank you. It's beautiful. Let's pray.